Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Claire panics over Kyle's marriage offer. The Young and the Restless recap for Monday, September 1st says that Claire Newman will panic over Kyle Abbott's marriage proposal, while Victoria Newman consoles Nate Hastings. So here's what viewers can expect next. At Society, Jack Abbott will be concerned that Kyle's marriage proposal will fail, while Diane Jenkins Abbott will remain hopeful that Claire will be swept up in the passion. Talk will turn to Jack Abbott partnering with Billy Abbott to go after the Chancellor. Diane, on the other hand, will question if Jack can put aside his reservations about Nikki Newman and go through with it. Diane will encourage Jack to safeguard Kyle above everything else since she does not trust Victor Newman, especially when it comes to their son. Because Billy is a wild card, Diane will believe Jack must step in and be the one to finally take Victor down. Kyle will create a romantic scene at the Abbott estate and propose a toast to Claire upon her arrival. Kyle hopes Claire would find it in her pure heart to forgive him and reflect on what an idiot he was for keeping secrets. Claire will be concerned that Kyle confessed because his parents pressured him to do so. Kyle will claim the decision was his own and behave as if he was aware it was the only option. Claire will urge that if they are to move forward, they must do so gradually and step by step. Kyle will agree to that in the hopes of rebuilding trust, but he will ignore Claire's requests after they have supper. Kyle will pull out the ring he acquired from the family jeweler as soon as Claire muses about staying with him in 50 years. Claire will appear unsettled as she wonders what Kyle is doing, but he will not be discouraged. After Kyle gets down on one knee and opens the ring box, he'll encourage Claire to join him in the leap. Kyle will declare that the only person he can envision loving more than Claire Newman is Claire Abbott, and he will ask her to marry him. Claire will become tearful and shake her head in surprise, but she will not appear pleased with Kyle's proposal. On Monday's episode of Y&R, Audra Charles will visit Nate at Crimson Lights in the hopes of reconciling their relationship, so he will demand the truth. Audra will eventually inform everyone about Victor's vibrante offer, and how she decided to end Kyle's relationship with Claire in exchange for funding. However, Audra will make explanations and tell Nate that she would never have slept with Kyle. Despite kissing Kyle, Audra will try to convince Nate that she would never genuinely betray him, and that she has learned her lesson. Unfortunately, Nate will consider this as a huge betrayal because Audra lied about her plans for Victor, and went so far as to seduce Kyle. That is why Nate will make it plain that he is done before leaving Audra. Amanda Sinclair will see the end of the battle and ask Audra, but Audra will tell her to butt out. Victoria will find Nate sulking in the park. Nate will open up about the problem with Audra and accept that things are finished for good, so Victoria will provide some consolation and express appreciation. Victoria will say that's what friends are for, but could she be returning to Love Terrain with Nate soon? Kyle's horror show. Claire goes wild on Audra Kane and Lily's mess.
The Young and the Restless spoilers for the next 2 weeks, September 1st to September 12th, suggest that Kyle Abbott will see his own horror show before Claire Newman goes crazy on Audra Charles. Kane Ashby and Lily Winters will also face a catastrophe, so let's see what Y&R has in store. Audra's attempt to reclaim Nate Hastings will fail between September 1st and 5th. Despite Audra's attempts to be open about all of her schemes, Nate will not believe it registers how badly she deceived him. Nate will decide to put Audra in the rearview mirror and rely on Victoria Newman for support. Kyle will see the misery of it all when Claire rejects his marriage proposal. Claire appears to be irritated by Kyle's technique, which will increase tension even further. When Kyle seeks counsel from his father, Jack Abbott may resist the desire to respond, "I told you so." Diane Jenkins Abbott will also share her thoughts, but Kyle should probably take a step back and give Claire some time. However, there could be an issue because Holden Novak may be ready to seize this opportunity. Claire and Holden will undoubtedly become closer as they prepare to form a vengeful alliance against Audra. Later, Claire will have a tantrum during an Audra interaction, so expect some wild moments. Speaking of crazy moments, there may be some developing when the Abbott-Newman feud takes center stage. The Newman clan will have to do some preparation work before facing Jabot with Kane's support. However, Kane has some tricks up his sleeve. Phyllis Summers' upcoming aggressive maneuvers may imperil his goals, but Kane's emotions may also make him susceptible. Lily will corner Kane and press for a complete confession since she still believes he is preparing something major. Kane and Lily's feelings will remain strong, but their tense relationship will only get worse. Returning to Victor, he will get a night of beautiful gifts from the woman he loves. Nikki will provide Victor with a memorable romantic night, so he will enjoy the attention. Across town, Michael Baldwin will receive an enticing offer, so we'll see if Jack will hire him and gain an advantage against Victor. Regardless, the week of September 8th to 12th will see significant advancements in Victor's scheme against Jabot. Victor could also make a move against Kyle if his rejected marriage proposal results in a love divorce and Claire's anguish. That might give Victor the authority to execute the $5 million contract and drive Kyle out of town. Back with Audra, she'll face further threats from Claire, Holden, and possibly Kyle as well. Audra will believe she can handle them all, but will she underestimate her opponents? In any case, Audra may immerse herself into work and assist Sally Spectra in making the launch party as successful as possible. That launch party might be fraught with drama, especially if Jack and Kyle publicly protest to Audra working for Abbott Communications. Victoria will become increasingly concerned about Claire in the aftermath of the devastating Kyle news. Could everything have a negative impact on Claire's mental health, leaving Victoria concerned that she will go off the rails again? Audra becomes scorched earth at Kyle and Claire's wedding. According to the Young and the Restless spoilers, Kyle Abbott and Claire Newman's wedding could be a tragedy if they go ahead with it. After all, Audra Charles is looking for vengeance and has nothing to lose. Will Audra's wedding crash? Audra has cast doubt on Claire's memory of what happened in Nice, so Kyle attempts to prove himself by proposing. Will Claire believe it's too soon or be completely swept off her feet? Kyle and Claire may hear wedding bells in the future, but it doesn't mean the deed is done. We anticipate that if Audra cannot have a happy ending with Nate Hastings, she will ensure that Claire does not either. Is Audra ruining Claire and Kyle's wedding? Victor Newman and Audra previously collaborated to destroy Claire, but in defeat, he permitted them to exist. But is he telling the truth? An engagement may send Victor into revenge mode again, and Audra would be an ideal partner. In a recent episode, Kyle acknowledged to kissing Audra in Nice, but he didn't tell Claire he was half naked. So it is ammunition Audra might use to her advantage. Claire will or will not marry. Audra told Sally Spectra about the towel encounter, so perhaps it's time to tell Claire about the frolic. If nothing else, it will expose Kyle for hiding critical information and sow doubt in Claire's eyes. Audra is unlikely to remain silent while Claire and Kyle live happily ever after. Especially because her own relationship with Nate Hastings is in disarray. Of course, Audra took it all on herself by refusing to tell Nate about her treason in France. What's next in Genoa City? According to the Young and the Restless spoilers, Audra has a negative reaction to Claire's announcement. Will she decide to go for the kill and wreck her and their lives by telling the truth while also embellishing it slightly? Audra stuns Nate with the truth, while Kyle leaves Claire speechless. Claire was aware that there was more to Kyle and Audra's encounter in France than he had said. Audra, on the other hand, has not hesitated to indicate that Kyle is interested in her. Claire was pushed to her breaking point and demanded the truth from Kyle. Claire, you cannot handle the truth. Kyle revealed that he kissed Audra, but it was all part of his plot to capture her. Next week, Kyle plans to show Claire how much she means to him and why she is the woman he wants to spend his life with. He surprised her with an engagement ring. But will Claire's response surprise Kyle? To retaliate against Audra, Claire told Nate about the bargain she struck with Victor to gain power. Nate was astonished when Audra, like Kyle, made excuses. Coming up, like Kyle before her, Audra ultimately admits to Nate that she accepted Victor's offer and pursued Kyle in order to obtain what she wanted. Perhaps Kyle and Audra will end up together after their better halves reject them both? Finally, it's time for some fun. Nikki intends to surprise Victor and remind him of how much she loves him. The night in Genoa City was deceptively calm, with city lights gleaming against the velvet backdrop of the sky, but for Claire Newman, the calm concealed a storm gathering within her heart. She had come to the Abbott mansion that evening hoping that she and Kyle Abbott would finally find a way ahead after weeks of agony, doubt, and uncomfortable facts. But what awaited her behind those tall, magnificent doors was not the peaceful reconciliation she had anticipated. It was a proposal, a leap into eternity, and it terrified her more than she could confess. Kyle went to considerable measures to prepare for this occasion. The Abbott mansion's living room shone with soothing candlelight, and the aroma of fresh roses filled the air. In the faint light, 2 crystal glasses of champagne gleamed on the coffee table, and a soft jazz song drifted across the room. Kyle's goal was to prove himself, to show that despite his failures, deceptions, and reckless decisions, Claire was the one woman he couldn't live without. He told himself that if he could just show her how serious he was, how deep his love ran, she would look past the betrayals and see a future worth fighting for. However, for Claire, the moment felt like a tidal wave crashing in before she could catch her breath. Kyle's words were heavy with meaning, hope, and desperation, and they pressed down on her chest until she thought she was going to suffocate. He lifted the ring box as if it were a key to their deliverance, his eyes wide and pleading, his voice trembling as he uttered her name, Claire Newman. "Claire Abbott, will you marry me?" Her pulse pounded in her ears as she gazed at the ring. Claire saw the diamond as a chain rather than a promise, despite its magnificent sparkle. She remembered everything that had led them here, including the nights of doubt, furious fights about honesty, and the tragic revelation that Kyle had kissed Audra Charles in Nice, which broke her already frail trust. Can love truly be restored on such fragile ground? Could she really commit to a man who had previously put her heart through so much? Her lips parted, but no words emerged. Kyle's hopeful smile faded as he examined her face for signs of acceptance, enthusiasm, or anything other than the panic he could see in her eyes. Claire hesitated and shook her head. "I don't, Kyle." Her fingers trembled and she put them to her forehead. "I didn't expect this tonight. I thought we'd just talk and take things one step at a time, as we agreed." Kyle rose swiftly, leaving the ring box on the table and reaching for her hands. "Claire, I know what I said. But living without you and knowing I could lose you at any moment is awful. I don't want to take steps, spend time, or go long distances. I want you. I want forever, starting now." However, the harshness of his tone just heightened her terror. She didn't mistrust his statements, she simply felt he loved her. It was the haste, the impulsiveness, the way Kyle appeared to be attempting to leap over the gaps in their relationship rather than fixing them one by one. Her chest rose and fell fast, and her voice cracked. "Kyle, you can't fix everything with a ring. You cannot erase what happened in Nice, the lies, or the uncertainties. You can't get rid of the image of Audra that comes to me every time I see you. Do you understand how exhausting that is for me?" Kyle's expression was contorted with guilt. "Claire, I was incorrect. I was selfish and dumb, but I learnt my lesson. I pledge that I will never hurt you like that again. The only future I desire is one in which I wake up each day next to you. Claire Abbott, that's all I want in this world." Her name, combined with his family name, hit her like a blow. He meant it as a love pledge, but Claire felt pressured, as if she was being rushed into a world she didn't belong in. The Abbotts were strong, complicated, and plagued by decades of feuds and secrets. Did she truly want to be tied to that legacy indefinitely? She yanked her hands free, tears welling up in her eyes. "Kyle, I can't breathe," she said softly, her voice breaking. I can't say yes right now." The hush that ensued was awful. The ring on the table appeared to burn between them, mocking Kyle's broken dream. His shoulders fell as reality set in, yet he still held on to a glimmer of optimism. "Not right now," he said quietly, his voice rough. "That's okay. We can wait. We can." But Claire cut him off, her emotions raging. "No, Kyle, you do not understand. I am not sure I could ever say yes. You're forcing me into a situation I'm not prepared for, and it's making me feel like I'm drowning. If you truly love me, you will offer me true space, not lighting, jewelry, and pressure to forget the agony." Kyle flinched as the rejection sliced through him. "Well, what are you saying? Is it over? That what we've fought for is meaningless?" "I am claiming I don't know," Claire cried, her tears flowing freely now. I'm saying I don't know whether I can trust you, and until I do, marriage isn't an option. I need to discover myself again before I can promise myself to anyone, including you. The tension in the room was tremendous, and their love was about to break beneath the strain. Kyle recognized then that his bold gesture had backfired terribly. Instead of demonstrating his dedication, he had provoked the very worries Claire had been attempting to suppress. She lurched back a step, shook her head as if she could forget about the entire evening. I can't do it, Kyle. I need to go. He reached out with desperation on his face. Claire, please. But she backed away, grabbed her coat, and dashed out the door before he could stop her. The bang of the Abbott mansion doors resonated through the empty corridors, leaving Kyle standing alone in the fading candlelight and untouched champagne. He fell into the sofa, the ring box gazing back at him as a stinging reminder of his failure. He buried his face in his hands, wondering if he'd lost the love of his life for good. The aftermath of Kyle's rejected proposal hung over the Abbott estate like a thick cloud. Jack Abbott, sitting in his office with a glass of scotch unfinished, attempted to make sense of the evening. He had anticipated this, sensing from the start that Kyle's impulsive heart would crash catastrophically with Claire's meticulous prudence. Diane Jenkins Abbott, sitting across from him, sighed heavily, her fingers nervously pounding on the polished wood of the desk. I told him it was too soon, Jack said, gazing into the amber liquid, but did he listen? No. He had to go and make this huge romantic gesture, and now look at him. Diane leaned closer, her voice calm yet determined. Jack, perhaps it isn't entirely his fault. He adores her, and he believed a proposal would resolve everything. Sometimes people act impulsively without thinking. Jack shakes his head. It is not about thinking, Diane. It's about the repercussions. Every action has a consequence, and Kyle discovered this the hard way tonight. He's lucky Claire didn't run out screaming. Well, she nearly did. Diane put a soothing hand over Jack's. That's why you have to defend him. He's our son. He will make mistakes, undoubtedly, but he deserves guidance, someone to step in when Victor's shadow threatens to overtake him. Jack's eyes clouded at the mention of Victor Newman, the Abbott's constant nemesis. Victor is always looking for an opportunity to twist the knife. Kyle's injury and Claire's uncertainty create a favorable situation for him. Meanwhile, in the Abbott mansion's kitchen, Kyle sat alone, repeating the scene in his thoughts. Claire's every tear, shudder, and mumble of I can't sounded like a hammer smashing into his chest. He had assumed he was doing the right thing, that love would be enough to transcend past sins, but the truth had hit him like a freight train, love alone was insufficient. Trust needed to be re-established, and he had trampled over the frail foundations too rapidly. I just wanted her to see me, to really see me, he whispered to himself, scooping up the ring box and holding it like a lifeline. Was this too much to ask? His phone vibrated, disturbing the silence. Diane texted, "Step back. Give her time. Perhaps she'll come around." Kyle breathed sharply. Diane was correct, of course, but patience has never been his strong suit. He was impulsive, passionate, and fiercely determined, all of which had attracted Claire to him but now threatened to drive her away. Across town, Audra Charles was planning her next move with surgical precision. She had noticed a fracture in Claire and Kyle's relationship and spotted an opportunity. If she couldn't be happy with Nate, she would make sure that no one else was either. The coffee cup she clutched trembled slightly as her mind raced with ideas. Claire's nervousness over Kyle's proposal provided the ideal opening. Audra only had to feed the fires just enough, sow the seeds of doubt, and watch the relationship fall.